نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد بسم الله. Alhamdulillah, we gather today to glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to submit ourselves to Him and to offer what has been obligatory upon us and to express our gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all His bounties and to make supplication to Him for all our needs. Each Friday should bring a special joy to us, as Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has declared it, Eid of the week, Inna hada yawmu Eid. We celebrate it by getting ready for it, for the prayers, by taking shower, by putting on our best clothes, by doing miswak, by applying perfume, by grooming ourselves with putting oil, and by coming early to masjid. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all our deeds and shower His endless mercy upon us. Ameen. I want to point out something very important about Fridays, which many of us do not pay attention to. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us in Quran that when the adhan of Jummah is called, drop everything and come for prayer. In Surah Jummah, verse number 9, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. O you who have believed, when the adhan is called for the prayer on the day of Jum'ah, then proceed to the remembrance of Allah and leave trade. That is better for you, if you only knew. So I want to remind myself and you about this command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we should not delay once the adhan is called to come to the masjid. And we should leave our work, our business, any type of transaction we are in the middle of, leave it and come to masjid. All the worldly affairs should be stopped at this point, and you should focus on offering a prayer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there's something that happens as we're entering the masjid, and you notice many masjids have stalls outside, with vegetables, fruits, any kind of other goods, and you're tempted to kind of buy the best fruit before you get to the masjid. And that's exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is prohibiting. Do not enter into a transaction before you perform your prayer. So once the adhan is called, just focus on your prayer and listen to khutbah. That's important. And then, of course, after that, you can continue with finding the fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues in this surah. So that would be our attitude on Friday. Come here, offer prayer, and then continue with your worldly life afterwards. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give barakah to your affairs, inshallah. So with that reminder, I continue on with our tafsir of Surah Mulk. We started that, I think, a few weeks ago, and we're continuing on. Now we're on verse number 23. And in this next set of verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to describe His blessings upon us. قُلْ هُوَ الَّذِي أَنشَأَكُمْ وَجَعَلَ لَكُمُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَالْأَفْئِدَةَ قَلِيلًا مَا تَشْكُرُونَ. Say, it is He who has created you and made for you hearing and vision and hearts. Little are you grateful. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us all the senses and developed all our organs, internal and external. And we take them for granted, but when a person is born with good health, this is the greatest blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon that person. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions just the major abilities like hearing, vision, and thinking. If any one of these are faulty, you would have a lot of hardship. So imagine someone with faulty hearing, or some kind of limited vision, or mental disability, how challenging life would be. But even if you look at smaller things, small abnormality in our bodies, that is also hard for us to sustain and to bear. So think about this. You have 10 digits in your hands. If someone is missing a thumb, he cannot hold any object with his hand. Just by missing one digit, you cannot function the way you operate today without even thinking about it. Or there's a small gland inside our body. It's the size of a small pea, pituitary gland. It manages all the hormones in our body, controls and regulates it. If it is offset and there's any abnormality, all of a sudden your body functions, your organs will start to malfunction. They won't operate the way they operate today. So all these little things are actually so important, and yet we don't think about that. We don't think about on our daily basis how grateful we should be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one by one, you can imagine every part of your body has a special function. It's a blessing to you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we have to be grateful about that. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in this verse after mentioning the vision, the hearing, and the thinking. He says, قَلِيلًا مَا تَشْكُرُونَ. You do not thank enough. So now that you realize that you have to thank a lot to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, And every blessing, small or big, is worthy of the gratitude. As Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned, "Man lam yashkir al-qalila, lam yashkir al-kathir." So whoever is not thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for small things, he will not be thankful for even bigger things. So we have to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for even little blessings He has given to us. So now we have to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a lot. So the next question comes to mind: how should we be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What should be our way? You can devise your own way, but you have to follow from the Sunnah of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That's the way we should to offer our thanks. So let's revert to the hadith of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as to how we should be giving thanks. And the thank can be given from the tongue and from your actions. So we'll go through both of them today, inshallah. So we refer to this hadith in Sunan Abi Dawud, when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned, "Man qala hina yusbihu, Allahumma ma asbaha bi min ni'matin faminka wahdaka la sharika laka falakal hamdu wa lakal shukr, faqad adda shukra yawmihi. وَمَنْ قَالَ مِثْلَ ذَلِكَ حِينَ يُمْسِي فَقَدْ أَدَّى شُكْرَ لَيْلَتِهِ." If anyone says in the morning, "O Allah, whatever favor has come to me, it comes from you alone, who has no partner. For you is all the praise and thanks." He will have expressed full thanks for the day. So just by saying this dua, inshallah, you will have expressed your thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the entire day. And if anyone says the same thing in the evening, he will have expressed the thanks, full thanks for the night. So just by reciting this dua mindfully, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept our thanks for the entire day and entire night. So let's make it a habit of saying this dua: "Allahumma ma asbaha bi min ni'matin faminka wahdaka la sharika lak falakal hamdu wa lakal shukr." So now we talked about how do we express our thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by our tongue. Let's focus also on how do we express our thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by our actions. Because if you think about this, if you have a friend that declares himself to be your friend, and he gives you all of his favors, but just verbally, but behind the scenes is trying to hurt you, would you really call that person your friend? Not really. Same thing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we say from our tongue, "Oh Allah, I thank you for all the blessing. Oh Allah, you're the giver of all the blessings to me," that's only one part. The way to complete that thanks is actually follow up with the right actions. And that's what is a true gratitude towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now we turn towards how we can give thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through our actions. And in that, we have guidance from Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So another narration in Sunan Abi Dawud, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentions, "Fil insani 360 مفصلا فعليه أن يتصدق عن كل مفصل منه بصدقة. قالوا ومن يطيق ذلك يا نبي الله؟ قال النخاة في المسجد تدفنها والشيء تنحيه عن الطريق وإن لم تجد فركعتا الضحى تجزئك." SubhanAllah, great narration. A human being has 360 joints. For each of these, he must give sadaqah. The people asked, so Sahaba asked, how can you do that? How is it possible? 360 joints. How can I give thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through sadaqah? Who is capable of doing this? That's what Sahaba asked. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam replied, "It may be the mucus in the mosque which you bury. It could be something that you remove from the road, but if you do not find such thing, 2 rakat in duha will be sufficient for you." So subhanAllah, what an amazing guidance from Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam about thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through our actions. Every little thing matters. So every part of our body, when we wake up in the morning, is in debt of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And how to pay that debt is to perform some of these actions. And notice Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gives examples of simple acts, things that you can do without even putting a lot of energy. Just along the way, you see something on the road, it was blocking the way, you removed it. Another example, you just meet your brother on the street, even in your house, you smile back to the brother. That's also sadaqah. You're traveling in a bus, you give seat to someone senior than you, that's sadaqah. All these little acts of kindness are sadaqah. And if for some reason you did not get the opportunity, or you do not interact a lot with people, or you just have a situation where you're sick, you are not able to perform these small acts, this is what you can do. And this is of great blessing on its own, with a lot of other bounties. Every day in the morning after the sun rises, about 15 minutes later, roughly, pray 2 nafil. That prayer of 2 nafil will go a long way, inshallah. And as Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned, those two nafil will suffice for all the thanks that you can give to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that day. The joints that have due upon them, the thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just by praying those 2 rak'ah. If you make that into habit, lots of other blessings, inshallah, you will experience in your life. So moving on to a couple of other verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings now the discussion of the Day of Judgment. قُلْ هُوَ الَّذِي ذَرَأَكُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَإِلَيْهِ تُحْشَرُونَ. Say, it is He who has multiplied you throughout the earth, and to Him you will be gathered. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us how He has spread people across the entire globe, and He's also capable of then bringing them back on the Day of Judgment to the same place, to the plains of Arafah. That's where we will all be brought together. And if you think for a moment, how many people have lived upon earth since the creation of humankind? Roughly 100 billion people have lived on earth since man was sent to earth. Allahu alam how many, but just one estimate is 100 billion people have lived on this earth. And who knows until the Day of Judgment how many more people will live on this earth. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes this statement, He will gather all of us in one plane. It's a big statement. It shows the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how He can create someone from a little drop. He can let that person grow in the womb of mother, then go all the way from in his life to death, and then multiply that by 100 billion times and more, and then He can gather everyone up again from dust and bring them together. Subhanallah, such is the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's a reminder that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions here, that He is able to bring everyone back to life and to gather together. But a disbeliever will never understand this statement. If you're a believer, you will accept this. But a disbeliever will never accept this. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, what is the attitude of a disbeliever? When this reminder is given to a person who does not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who does not believe in Islam, what will that person say? وَيَقُولُونَ مَتَى هَذَا الْوَعْدُ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. And they say, when is the promise if you're telling the truth? So the disbelievers would argue with Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. If you are claiming this to be true statement, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will resurrect us, make it happen now. Like, what's stopping you from bringing everyone back to life today in front of our own eyes? Allahu Akbar. That was the expression of arrogance and sarcasm by disbelievers at the time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded. He gave a response to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, what to say to these people, these ignorant people, what to say to them. قُلْ إِنَّمَا الْعِلْمُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ وَإِنَّمَا أَنَا نَذِيرٌ مُبِينٌ. Say, the knowledge is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I am only a clear warner. So for such ignorant people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam not to argue with them. Just let them know, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is aware of that time when the Day of Judgment will happen. So as we close off our today's reminder, we should reflect on our own action. We may not say it like the kuffar used to say about Day of Judgment. They used to question and disbelieve, but our actions speak louder than our words. We have to reflect, are we really keeping Akhirat top of mind? Because again, we talked about shukr. Shukr from our tongue, shukr through our action. Same thing as our belief. Belief is through our tongue and also through our action. So if you really believe in the Day of Judgment, then we also have to perform actions that reflect that in our daily lives. So inshallah, we'll go back to the reference of shukr that we discussed today, how every part of our body needs to pay the due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of His blessings upon it. And we can say that by making dua every morning, end of day. Similarly, 2 rak'ats after 15 minutes approximately of sunrise would suffice, inshallah, as it mentioned in the narration. And then there are many du'as of shukr. Just at least remember one du'a, inshallah. That's a beginning, and you will learn more and more. اللهم لك الحمد كله ولك الملك كله ولك الخلق كله إليك يرجع الأمر كله نسألك من الخير كله ونعوذك من شر كله سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.